Welcome to the Property Elite podcast. I'll be your host, Jen Lehman, chartered surveyor and co-founder of Property Elite. Stay tuned each week for more on industry hot topics, market updates and new RICS guidance. In this week's podcast, I look at ways to plan your revision for your RICS APC final assessment interview. It's essential listening for all candidates. So should you be revising from day one? I generally think no. Doing too much too soon can be overwhelming and lead to burnout. I recommend focusing on drafting and finalising your submission up to the point that you submit your written work to RICS. At this stage, you should be undertaking some wider reading or CPD activities relating to your competencies, hot topics, and market trends, which will also contribute towards your CPD requirements. However, I'd maybe try to avoid too much specific revision or memorisation of guidance or legislation. This gives you the time and space to get your submission right first time. As the interview will be based upon your submission, this will be a substantial amount of preparation done in the write-up process. So why is your submission a really important part of your revision process? A key part of your revision is to familiarise yourself with your Level 2 and 3 examples and case study. You need to know them inside out, including the knowledge, reasoning and why behind your actions at Level 2 and advice at Level 3. Keeping on top of knowing your submission is key throughout the whole of your preparation process. So after you submit your final assessment submission, your attention needs to turn quickly towards revision and preparation for your interview. This includes being familiar with your submission, as we've already discussed, as well as getting to grips with the key Level 1 knowledge and how this applies at Level 2 and 3. The APC interview isn't an exam though, and you don't need to know everything. However, you do need to know the detail behind anything you mention in Level 1 and how this then affected your actions, Level 2, and advice, Level 3. There'll also be some basic knowledge you'll be expected to have for every competency, which you can check via the relevant pathway guide. Some memorisation will be required, such as knowing the rules of conduct. However, even more important is to be able to explain how you've applied, for example, the rules of conduct in practice. You would then try to link this to the specific examples you laid out in your submission in Levels 2 and 3. Another key point is not just to revise on your head or on paper. The APC assessment is an interview where you'll be expected to fluently answer a range of questions based on your submission. A vital element of your revision must be practicing how you'd respond to both simple and challenging questions, ensuring you listen clearly to the question and give a reasoned, succinct and relevant answer. It can be really tempting to tell the assessors everything you know about a topic. However, the key to success is really to focus on what you're being asked. Nerves can play a big part in your final assessment interview, and this can make verbalising your answers difficult. Taking part in a mock interview or Q&A sessions with trained assessors will help you deal with these. We've got a website blog about dealing with nerves, and I'd really recommend you go and check this out. There are so many different ways that you can revise, and the best way will be the way that suits you and your learning style. For example, for my own APC, I found that I best revised by making my own notes on a topic using a variety of different sources, such as articles, videos, and podcasts. Using lots of different sources kept things interesting. I then condensed the notes into the essential things I needed to know. This document was dynamic, as I continued to edit and amend it as I learnt more and more. Eventually, I ended up with a fairly short document that just summarised the key things that I found difficult to grasp or remember. I also ensured that I linked this knowledge to practical examples, which is a key requirement of the APC. Another tip is to ask others, such as friends, family and colleagues. I asked them to test me out on my submission or using a list of experience-based questions. Commissioning your own APC question pack would be a great way to achieve this. I undertook a mock interview, so I'd really recommend undertaking at least one to visualise and work through the final interview experience. You can put your own via our website. Using a variety of different revision techniques will serve you best. Think back to college or university if you went and how you learnt best then. There's also a website link on our blog on the website that will give you some more ideas, but most importantly, if you feel that you're not gaining anything from your revision, stop, look for alternative ways to learn, or just take a break. Learning in short bursts is best as it helps to keep your mind fresh. Taking a short break, such as a walk or watching something on TV, can give you the mental energy to continue later on. Revise when you're at your best, although this will differ for everybody. I also recommend trying to spend some time revising in a group with other candidates. It'll help you to build a support network and discuss your concerns with other candidates. Also involve your counsellor and colleagues in your revision, as they'll have helpful advice to share. Try to ensure that some of your support comes from a trained assessor, as they'll be able to explain how the questioning process in your submission will work. So how can you plan your revision? I recommend listing out all of your competencies, both mandatory and technical, then rank them in order of 1, least confident, to 10, most confident. Take your calendar and then look at how many weeks you have until your first potential interview date, which we'll call your target date. You can then split your total number of competencies by the weeks you have remaining, stopping 1 week before your target date. Write down which competencies you'll focus on each week, starting at your least confident and ending up with your most confident. Ideally, have a good balance of technical and mandatory competencies each week. I also recommend that you look at ethics each week, as it's the only area for an automatic fail at interview for a wrong answer. Within your weekly revision, also ensure you keep familiarising yourself with your submission, both the summary of experience and case study, which will include a variety of different competencies. You could decide to have 2 cycles of revision, so you'll need to study more competencies each week. This means that any weaknesses you identify the first time around can be focused upon in the second cycle. I recommend stopping 1 week before the target date, as this will then allow you to focus in the last week on your weakest competencies as well as your submission. If you find that you don't get allocated your first preference of interview date, you can simply extend the revision plan until the date's confirmed. You'll receive 3 weeks' notice from RICS, so you'll need to dynamically amend your plan as time goes on. By planning out your revision, you'll give yourself the best chance of success in your interview. And then finally, how much time do you need to dedicate to revision? And it's another question with no set answer. I recommend short bursts of revision on a very regular basis, ideally daily. This can be from an hour to a few hours, perhaps with some days off to take a break, or some days with more focused revision sessions. Thanks for listening to the Property Elite podcast this week. Head to our website to check out our full blog, free and paid support resources and services, free consultation for every single RICS APC and ASOC RICS candidate, and also ask us any questions you have via the website chat blog. See you next week.